The ladies of The View had Arnold on as a friendly Republican. Turns out they were wrong.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
And we're back for another installment of the Palumbo Podcast. We took a few weeks off, but we are back, and we have a big story to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger on The View with those lunatics, and we want to give you our opinion on that. But before we do, John Romano, I want to bring you on. They saw you a little earlier. I got a funny story to tell you because, it's so true that you get what you think about, right? I mean, you create your own reality, don't you? After all,
of course, you got it. Yeah, of course. Visualizing things helps. All of that shit.
Now, you and I are getting on a plane tomorrow, and I will be probably with Mr. G at some point on this plane in Alabama. You'll be coming to Alabama, but
I'm driving.
Guys,
remember, I'm driving.
You're driving, right? You're driving. Okay, but a few guys went in today. Okay, now of the people who flew in today, I believe Larry, Armand, Greg and his girlfriend, and I think Jimmy's coming tomorrow like we are.
Yeah, Jimmy's coming tomorrow.
Guess who had a problem?
In Atlanta.
Had a problem in Atlanta. Exactly. Can you take a guess?
Well, you mean the pilot didn't care that he had his gallbladder out?
No. I get this group text from Lucia, which is Greg's girlfriend.
Right.
They're removing fuel from the plane. 30 minutes or more process. The other plane they moved us from was having other issues. So this is the second plane they're on, and now they're taking fuel out of the plane. I only thought they put fuel in the plane. I didn't know they removed fuel. Did you know that?
Not in Greg's case.
I think Greg took such a shit in the toilet bowl that they needed to get some of the fuel off the plane.
The flatulence make up a lot of the fuel.
Yeah, it was weighing the plane down a little bit. So that's the last update I've had so far.
Isn't that funny how when you project like that, it's amazing how that happens.
You create your own reality. It's inevitable.
There's no reason for that to happen. I mean, to him specifically, because when does he travel? This is the second time the last time he traveled on a plane was last year to get here. So in a whole year, all right, he could have traveled every single day, right? And what would have happened? Nothing. But the one day he travels in a year is
I've traveled about 15 times since then, and I haven't had one delay. Not that I'm looking to jinx myself, but he brings it upon himself.
He has to. I mean, it's got to be. There's just no two ways.
I guarantee no one else who travel will have any problems getting to Alabama whatsoever.
And it was in Atlanta, right? It was.
And look, if Lucia is texting this to Michelle, that means that Greg's like having a nervous breakdown.
He's comatose. Yeah.
That means that, and the terrible thing about Greg is he won't even take any like drugs to like mellow him. Like, you know how like you have to give animals like tranquilizers to get on an airplane?
Yeah.
You can't even give him a tranquilizer. He'll only take stimulants for some reason. I don't know what the reason is, but
he's a classic reason to take eat a brownie or take a Valium or something, before you get on it. Xanax. Except now the Xanax is fentanyl. You can't even tell the real Xanax from the fentanyl. So
the problem is now when we get there, we're going to hear the story 600 times. From
I wonder. Do you think Greg gets the special meal?
The kosher meal?
Imagine him on the phone with the airline. Getting ordered a special meal. I have my gallbladder out. I'm diabetic.
Luckily for Gray, they don't serve meals anymore.
And no, and the funny thing is that service is outsourced to India, and the guy on the phone is, do you want Muslim meal? Do you want vegetarian? Do you want cookies only? What?
I heard this Jewish comedian telling the story about the kosher meal that he cooked, that he ordered on the plane. How they come, it's like wrapped like 600 times over, and they're afraid to touch it, the flight attendants, because they don't want to spoil it.
It's so well, when you keep kosher, it's so easy to fuck up, because you have to have an entire dishes and forks and knives for stuff with dairy, and then you have another entire dishes and forks and knives for meat, and then you have to have pots and pans. One set for dairy, one set for me. And if you switch those up, God, you got to break out the rock salt and the prayer book and the Talmud, and you got to get the rabbi to come over. It's treacherous. So, yeah, they wrap that stuff up good.
Do you think that they have like a special kitchen in the airlines? Because, in local flights, you don't get meals anymore, but if you fly over, internationally, you get a meal. They give you a couple of meals, actually. They're really good. I have to. How do they prep these things?
Well, they got special kitchens there, but the kosher one is the most difficult. My wife grew up in South Carolina, never ran into a Jew before in her life. She gets to the public defender's office, her first job in Florida, and in Broward County. And there's a girl, another lawyer, had her food in the microwave. So it was done. It's sitting there. My wife's like, I want to eat, So she opens the door, takes hers up, puts it on top of the microwave, puts hers in, and heats hers up. The girl comes back to pick up her meal, and she's like this. And my wife is like, what did I do? I just took it out. She goes, that's all right. My mother will fix it. I just can't eat this now. That's how they are. I mean, literally, if you mess with their food and make it this, you're half Jewish. You make it unkosher, then
no one in my house was ever kosher. Believe me, they were Jewish, but they weren't kosher.
Why did they do that,
John? If the meal falls on the floor, I'll eat it off the floor.
Same here.
I don't care about anything, and I'll rationalize in my head that the bacteria are good for the fucking gut and the gut biome and my immune system.
Increase your immune system.
Yeah, there are people that if it's funny because my kids, their mother is a nut. Like if the food falls on the floor, they'll throw it in the garbage because that's what she's like. But if a gumball drops on the floor and no one's looking, it could roll in a fucking pile of dog shit. They would fucking put that into their mouth and eat that gumball. I can guarantee it.
It's the 5-second rule, right? But I think the 5-second rule it only applies to the foods they like. In other words, if it's dinner and they really don't want to eat it anyway, it's like, oh, it fell on the floor, can't eat it. But I'll eat that. I'll eat that thing that's been laying over there for about that. Right. And they rolled through the dog shit. Right?
Yeah. that Hershey's bar that's been sitting over there on the floor for 3 days. Yeah, I'll eat that.
Yeah, but the 5-second rule, right? People don't realize that there's a humidity element to that. So you could drop a dry gumball on the floor, that could stay there for 4 weeks, and it's all But if you drop a piece of rigatoni with cheese sauce on it, you don't have much time.
Well, it's also what's on the floor too.
Dog hair, cat hair in your case. You got
that's right.
Snake scales. I don't know what you got in your
case. I don't know. If I dropped something in a puddle, I wouldn't eat it. Outside. But if the street was dry and the sun was out, I'd probably pick it up and eat it.
I dropped half a sandwich on a construction site one time, and I just picked it up and started eating. Because you're going to eat that? And I go, it's just a piece of wood,
You just get rid of the side that touched
Look, you got to realize. Look at a dog. Look at what a dog eats. Right. A dog eats fucking anything. I mean,
you throw it right on the floor, and he eats it right off the floor.
Right off the floor. And
never gets sick.
So why are we any different?
I don't know. I think we create our own food sensitivity issues because we're too clean almost.
It's true. Yeah. Some of us are like crazy.
A little background, bacteria and fungal stuff is probably good for the immune system.
I would think it is.
It's like it's like getting vaccinated. It's like, it's like hyping up the immune system.
Your immune system only strengthens by being tested.
That's
right. you have to throw, slimy shit in there sometimes.
People are saying, I've seen like people RFK Jr. said, we used to swim in the rivers and stuff like that and play in the puddles outside. And, and our immune systems were better. People got less people got sick. Less people had allergies back then, We're almost too antiseptic, about everything.
I had this conversation with my dad before he died, and it was very eye-opening. He said, when I was in school, you had a couple of slow kids. The smarter kids helped them out. They all made it. A little extra help here and there. We used to go outside and play. We just didn't come home until the street lights came on. My parents didn't know where. That was me too. My parents didn't know where we were. I used to, during the summer, my mother wouldn't even let us back in the house until it was the street lights came on. She was clean as you wanted us to fuck it up. We used to get the sandwich out the kitchen window. She wouldn't let us in.
I've experienced that too. Yeah.
Why does this camera do this, Dave?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But anyway, so yeah, things have definitely changed, and everybody's gotten soft, man. I look at Max was just here, and I look at some of his friends. None of there is a I don't want to call not macho, but masculine element missing from this newer generation. None of them have any body hair. None of them can grow a beard. None of them are particularly, they're all kind of soft and doughy. A lot of them have gyno. It's really weird, man.
I think if you look at the parents, though, it's usually reflective in the kids too. I mean, I look at your son Max. I mean, he's very masculine looking. He's like got a hard body, everything like that. My son is he's got that aggression that I have. Like he's like, he's a little bit menacing, he's a little mischievous, but he's aggressively male. You know what I mean? Like a
right.
He's got aggression in him. Like, and a lot of these, I see some of the kids in his grade, they're like into like, the playing just, they don't do anything. They don't do sports.
No, but we also,
and they're like just soft. Like you can tell their estrogen levels are probably higher than the girls.
Very high. And I think a lot of that also now these days comes from the food supply, the waters, the drink, the stuff, the crap that they're eating, the chemicals, those are very, a lot of xenoestrogens floating around out there that we didn't have when we were kids.
I'm not so sold on the whole xenoestrogen thing. I think it's the way we're just pampering these kids. I think.
You don't think there's like an environmental element that supersedes the genetic element?
I'm not sure of that. I'm not sold on it. I think that there is certain hormonal influences, I guess, in the food supply that maybe are like causing women to have, enter puberty earlier. But I think, I don't know, I see when I look at like kids that are like on the heavy side or they're like soft, or I look at the parents, it's like they're like clones of the parents though.
I don't know, man. I see it both ways. I just couple I know, I've been out on their boat, I've seen they're not like, fitness people, but they're not out of shape either. They're like normal, right? Normal. Yeah. Their son is not. He has gyno, like crazy gyno, like bra gyno.
You're right. I'm probably You know what it is? I think that's the kids who are eaters, like kids that really like to eat a lot. I think those are the kids that are being more affected by it. Whereas, like my son is like a forager. Like he'll eat like a maniac, and then he'll go like hours without eating.
Right.
He might eat for a whole day. He might eat like nothing, and then he'll eat the next day. I think the kids that are real moocher, they love their food, and it's like
he's chubby too.
That they get a little chubby, and then because they're consuming more of these, like you said, phytoestrogens and stuff like that in the food supply, they're getting more of the side effects from it too.
Too bad we don't have black.
I hate to say this, but Jason Hutt and I had this conversation because Jason was eating a lot of striped bass, and he got serious mercury poisoning.
Really?
And I said, well, what do you eat now? He said, I eat hamburgers and French fries. He's like, I realized they're the healthiest thing that I can eat. And you know what? It's sad, but you know what the truth of the matter is? Everything that we were told is healthy for us, fruits, vegetables, all poisoned with pesticides.
Yep.
Fish, tons of heavy metals, pollutants for the water.
Right.
So those are the fish, vegetables, and fruit are supposed to be the healthiest thing that you could possibly eat. And I still believe they are, but they're
organic. Yeah.
That I'm like, I don't even know what to eat anymore. So I almost think and you try to eat a piece of pizza these days. It destroys your stomach because the cheeses and the dough have so many additives into it from, God knows what's in the, because I can eat a piece of cheese in Italy. It doesn't bother my stomach. I eat a piece of cheese here and it just doesn't digest. I don't even know what they're putting in the stuff.
This would be such a perfect topic for Bleckman if we could get him on the show.
Yeah, he would, I know. I get the studies here to prove it.
Phytoestrogen. He's going to are you kidding? I mean, that would be so.
PCB.
And he'll say, me and RFK Jr. like this.
Yeah. Junior. I call him Junior. Bobby J.
Bobby J.
My father donated to his father's presidential campaign.
We've got a legacy in, right? Wow.
Yeah, he would definitely be a good person for that topic. But it is kind of, it's sad. You really don't know what to eat anymore. What's healthy anymore? Because I like vegetables and I like fruit and I like to eat raw vegetables, and I'm always like, maybe I'm poisoning myself eating all this crap, and you think it's good for you. It smells good and it's green and it's alive and meanwhile, God knows the pesticides they probably put in this. Because I look at these, I buy these peppers, they're yellow, red, and green peppers. They're so perfect. It looks like they're fake. They're so perfect. I get them in Sam's Club. I try to grow peppers out in my yard, John. They're all mouth-shapen. They're all they're half rotted, and I'm trying to cut off the bad parts so I can eat the good parts. I'm like, how did every single one of these is so perfect? They must have so many pesticides that no insect even wants to go near these things,
When the COVID thing was, brewing and we were going to have a civil war and everybody was like, plant a garden, there's food supply. Yeah. So I did. I had planted a garden. It's 15 feet by 40 feet. Okay. No. I had corn, tomatoes, potatoes, yams, basil, parsley, cilantro, all the stuff I use, right? Green onions, garlic, all the stuff I use. The deer ate all the corn and the tomatoes. One animal or another had a smorgasbord over there that I provided for them. Plus the weeds. The weeds took over. So how much poison do you have to put to kill the weeds, to keep the deer away, to keep the birds away, to keep the fucking worms off it? God, you got to douse this shit in poison.
I got even a better one than you. I've been planting stuff outside and nothing's growing.
Nothing grows. I got the same.
No. So listen. I'm thinking the seeds. I think I'm getting ripped off. Maybe the seeds are no good. And then one day I come out early because I got to go to the airport, and I find out why nothing's growing. Because the peacocks that are around my house eat all the seeds. Yeah. How they know where the seeds are in the ground, I have no idea. But they dig them up, and I see them digging them up, and then I turn and they look like the Roadrunner from Wile E. Coyote, and they're like beep beep, and they take off. They steal everything. They eat all the same thing. The raccoons, they eat anything that grows. They eat everything. So.
And when things like I had grown beets. Right.
Yes.
And because I like the beet tops, the greens. Them. Right. Yeah. They never got more than that high. Something ate them, And so it's like you're supposed to be doing this organically, right? And I got compost from the house. I'm turning the dirt over. I got the mulch. I'm doing all this like my father used to do it, right? Yeah. And either nothing would grow or whatever grew got eaten immediately. So it's just so I'm thinking large scale. You're doing this for America, the big farmers out there. No wonder we're poisoning the shit out of everything.
You have to. There's no way around it.
You wouldn't get anything.
I had a pumpkin. The first year I moved in Florida, I was growing pumpkins, and I had a pumpkin. It was about this big, and I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm actually going to grow a pumpkin. This is amazing. And one day, it was like pretty close to when I was ready to pick it. Something ate half the pumpkin. I don't know what did it, but it was probably a raccoon. But he was waiting too till that thing ripened, and then he fucking devoured it.
Or just nature fucks with you like that. Like the first year I planted watermelons, right? And I got one this big, like this big, and that was it. Right. Next year said, fuck it, I'm not planting any more watermelons. It's not worth it, right? Yeah. So I, dug up all the dirt, restarted everything again. Yeah. Halfway through the summer, I got this watermelon vine growing. And I'm like, I guess lasted from the year before or see whatever. Yeah. So he's growing, and I'm not paying any attention to it because I don't want a fucking watermelon. So and none are growing. It's just the vine. It's like, you get a flower. I'm like, oh, is it going to get a no, nothing, zero. So the whole summer goes by. It's like, September, and I'm clearing everything out. I swipe that whole vine away. There's a fucking watermelon this big under the vine.
Holy shit.
Like this. And I'm like, holy shit. I finally grew something. I go run in the house. I get the knife out. I cut it open. It's fucking white inside and yellow. And it's like, what the, what? And I was so pissed. So I don't grow anything anymore.
I found a cucumber like that. They got hidden, and I think it was hidden so well.
It was hidden, right.
It was hidden so well that even the peacocks didn't know where it was, and I actually got to eat it, which was.
But you know what? I got because I live in the boondocks. I got these roadside stands that sell produce, right? And I'm like, I always wonder
how the heck do they grow that shit? Yeah.
I can't grow anything, and these guys got bags and bags and shit all over the trailer, all over the tractor, everywhere.
They know all.
They must be shoveling poison on top of that shit. Like,
I don't know. Unless maybe you should build some scarecrows. You're pretty handy.
I was going to enclose. I was going to make like an aviary. I was going to enclose the whole thing in.
That's a good idea. Like, what I did was I put my my vegetables now on my pool deck because I have a pool cage.
You have a little nine.
Yeah, well, it's all, the whole pool is enclosed with a pool cage. So I've been actually growing. So I grew these peppers, John. I was so excited. I couldn't wait till these things were ready to eat. I picked them. I went in. I cut them up, and I realized very quickly they're jalapeno peppers. I grew the wrong ones, and I basically had to throw them all out because I'm like, I don't want these. I don't even like jalapeno peppers. So,
well, one goes a long way if you use it.
No, well, yeah, I know, but these were really hot too. They were like yellow ones. I don't know.
The rule of thumb is the smaller the pepper, the hotter it is.
It was small. It was small.
They have these in Mexico. They were like this big. They look like a regular chile, but like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids size.
Blast your fucking mouth apart.
Your eyes will water. Your windpipe will shut. Your ears ring. It's the most insane. You cannot believe something like that could cause a reaction. It's unbelievable. They even have a contest every year to see who can eat the hottest one. You see these macho, Mexican pistoleros with the big mustache, and they're crying.
It's like we used to take my father out for a sushi, and he never used chopsticks. He would take a spoon or a fork, and he swiped up a big thing of the wasabi mustard, and he put it in his mouth.
No,
I don't know what he thought it was. He thought it was like avocado or something like that, or guacamole. I don't know what he thought it was. And he's like, "What is this stuff?" I said, "Dad, you just ate a whole mouthful of wasabi. You're going to be in big trouble." He's like, "What is this?" And somehow, it was hot, but he actually survived it better than I thought. I would have been done. That would have been it.
But the thing with wasabi versus peppers is that the pepper lingers. Your mouth burns for like 10 minutes. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Wasabi, it's over in 30 seconds. It's like a popper almost.
By the way, I don't know if you know. I know you do. You are aware of this, but in the South, because we don't know, if you're from New York, you don't have any idea. You in like Walmart and Target, they actually sell fireworks.
Yeah,
and which is so foreign from myself because in New York you can't buy them; they're illegal.
We used to have to smuggle them in from.
Yeah, I remember when John moved to New York for a little while. He brought fireworks and he brought them to my house. The day he got there, we're blowing them off in my backyard, but it wasn't the 4th of July. And the neighbors called the cops. Remember, the cops came and they're like, and they knew us. They're like, Oh, you guys. Like,
but these weren't bottle rockets. These were fucking mortars. Okay,
yeah,
they were this big, and we're on your dock, right? There's houses all over the place. We're blowing it. For 8 o'clock, it's dark, and I heard that lady yelling, "It's 8 o'clock. It's here. The kids are sleeping."
So I bought the kids some fireworks, which I find is funny because they actually ID you to buy the. I'm like, at this point in time, I really think I look like I'm over 21 years old, but whatever. They ID you, and so I bought them some
for age or just for registering that you're buying an explosive.
No, you just have. I guess they have to like ID you if you're underage. I mean, if you're buying fireworks, So I got them a little snap, those little poppers you throw on the ground that pop.
Barbie's tampons.
And then I got him some. I introduced Logan to smoke bombs. I told him we used to light these off in school. I said they used to and bring them to school. And there was always one bad kid who would bring a smoke bomb and throw it in the gym class or something like that.
Do you remember the snakes, the little pill, the black pill, and you lick the top of it and it would just come out like a snake? Those are the best.
I wonder why they don't have those anymore.
Probably because of that smoke that came out was full of toxic fumes.
There's one, I don't know what it's called. We lit them the other night. They're like glorified sparklers that change. It's like shoots out. It's like this tube, and it like shoots out
like a Roman candle.
I don't know. No, you hold it. It's like
you hold it. You're supposed to.
You hold it. It's like it shoots sparks and shit out of it. But it's like but it changes colors. I've never seen them before.
We used to hold the Roman candle and shoot them at each other.
I don't want my kids getting blown up or anything like that. But so I was like, because we're all pyromaniacs. All boys are pyromaniacs.
Oh no, I was burning shit down when I was. My father, the psychiatrist, was a serious pyro man.
Oh, was he really?
Oh my God, he and I set some fires upstate. Like one day, we had this field cleared and the bulldozers pushed the stumps and the dirt and the trees and shit all up into one pile in the middle that was on a ridge, right? And we worked for like a year with chainsaws, like cutting that shit up. We just gave up. I mean, it was just too much shit. Yeah. So one day he decided it's pouring rain, and he goes out there and he sets it on. He lights a fire in the rain, in the pouring rain.
Really?
He lights a fire. The flames were 40 feet high. They were above the house. The fire department from 3 towns comes over. They got the whole street blocked off. And they're looking, my father's looking out like, what? Because the bulldozers had just pushed this all in. So it was a big field. There's nothing but dirt all around it. It's like fire couldn't spread if you tried, right? Yeah. So this mound of dried is burning like crazy. Yeah. And my father's arguing with the chief. He wanted to put it out. He goes, don't put it out. I just said. And then the guy, how did you start the fire in the rain? And then next thing you know, they were best friends. But they let it burn.
That's funny. Yeah. But you realize what I realized at least was the price of the fireworks in Target or Walmart is way, way cheaper than when you had to buy them on the street in New York illegally.
Yeah. Well, here we have these. They look like shipping containers. These big metal thing, and the doors fold up, and they sell. That's all loaded with fireworks, and they sell them out of there. I think they have to have it in those enclosed metal.
I'm shocked though that John, they have them out like you're buying like toilet paper. It boggles my mind that you can just go in and buy this stuff in Walmart. It's or Target. It's weird. Even the supermarket.
And the caliber of them, those mortars, they're like real fireworks, man. You put it in the tube and you light it, and it goes boom, and it goes way up in the air, and it goes boom, and it's just like you're going to a fireworks show.
I lit one. I didn't realize it was like 10 o'clock at night when I'm with the kids. I'm like, oh no, the neighbor's going to call the police now. I'm like, because they were loud. So I try to buy the ones that don't make as much noise. They just make colors and stuff.
And of course, we got to try to light 3 off at one time, so you got to twist the fuse together.
Don't give Logan any.
Last year, we had a bunch of them, and they come with a tube, the cardboard tube. These kids didn't have the tube, so I'm like, "What are we going to use?" And I'm like fidgeting around in the dark, and where I keep all the leftover construction stuff. And I found this piece of PVC pipe that I used for a drain. It was like 2-inch PVC pipe. The wall's like 1/8 of an inch thick. And I bang that into the ground. And we put one of those in there. It goes boom to go up. Instead of boom to go up, and boom, it exploded. The pipe exploded.
No, really?
we're by the pool here. I have 6 people out, and the thing just rolls over and blows up right by the pool. Like everybody got, covered with this little burning pieces of paper. It was freaking nuts.
Got to read the directions. God forbid we do that, right? So yeah,
isn't it amazing that cardboard is stronger than PVC pipe? That was my takeaway.
Believe me, the way they make these fireworks, it's unbelievable, and they're so cheap too. It's got to be a huge business. It's got to be huge. But the guys that I remember one of my father's brothers. This was going back to the 70s. Used to drive down to probably where you live, right south of the border. Is that where they start selling them legally? And they would load up their car and they would drive it back to New York.
Yep.
And sell them. I mean, people make a fortune because you cannot get fireworks in New York.
No.
And everyone knows some guy who's got them, and they'll spend a couple $100. Probably the guy's cost for that same couple $100 is $10, $20.
Right. When I was a kid, I had neighbors who were from way upstate New York, like Syracuse or Buffalo, like way to fuck up there near Canada, right? Yeah. And they would go to Canada and buy the fireworks. But those were just firecrack, like M80s.
Yeah, that's a little more difficult. You got to get it over the border, though.
Well, back then nobody gave a shit. It was Canada,
All right, let's get to the topic at hand.
To the meat of the matter. Yes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was on The View. First of all, I don't even know why he would go on The View. I can't stand those ladies on The View.
The View is a repository for all that is insanely stupid in the world. I swear to God, but that whole panel doesn't have an IQ that's a double number if you add it all together.
I know. Did you lose me? Oh, there we are. Okay, hold on. No. All right. Let's see. Pull this up here. Let's listen to Arnold.
You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing when you see the videos of it?
Wait, stop it right here.
I tell you, you said that the immigrant,
What she's doing is she's setting him up for this question, thinking that because he's an immigrant, he's going to be sympathetic to the illegal immigrants that are being deported by ICE. Right. And she gets her shoe in her mouth. Watch this.
Yeah.
So proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21 with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech there. They asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate.
Now I'm going to continue to do this. I'm playing the whole clip purposely because I don't want this to be taken out of context.
Right.
I want you to see the context of what Arnold said.
People becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is, when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
Arnold, now, one of the most telling parts of this whole thing was very subtle. Okay, when Arnold first started talking, I come to America, I have nothing, and I have this beautiful family, and I career, and they're all going, Then as soon as he says, in America, you've got to give back when you're.
No, he says it's got to be legal.
Legal. It started with legal. Silence. Well, none of those sycophants made a sound after that.
Well, then they grabbed him.
Right, and Sonny Huss is trying to go, Arnold, shut up! You're not following the narrative.
Yeah. You know, Arnold knew exactly what he was saying. And you know what? Arnold came here with Joe Weider bringing him over here legally. He became a citizen legally. He became a pillar of the, who worked for the, in this community, became the governor, obviously, and an actor, but he did everything legally. And that's important. So there's a distinction when you say that, hey, these people are immigrants. They're immigrants but they're not legally here.
Right.
And the problem with that is that a lot of these people are not good people. And that's why Arnold said you have to give back to the community. I think that was a very telling thing. Hey, we did all this for you. Now you got to do something for us. And if you do that, then that means that we want to welcome more immigrants here. I think Arnold slammed these women like better than anyone could have, because they didn't see it coming.
No, well, they assumed incorrectly. So, but it was cool to watch how that turned. But see, the thing is, my grandparents came here, or immigrants came here through Ellis Island legally, and they had to prove that they were bringing something of value to America, a skill, something that they knew how to do, something that they could, contribute to building and rebuilding America after the war, right? So with illegal immigration, you're getting the worst of the worst. Nobody who's got a degree in any kind of engineering, physics, math, doctor, lawyer, none of them are wading through the Rio Grande with a backpack on their head. Okay. They're doing it legally. The only ones that we're going through the Rio Grande with the backpack on their head are the people who are coming here illegally, who are probably, a lot of them, we don't know who they are. And a lot of them
there are people committing, not everyone, but there are people committing crimes and against, people here. The problem is there was too many people coming through, John. That's really the problem. If there was only a couple thousand coming through, no one would have complained. But when millions and millions and millions come through and they don't have any place to put them, and they're putting them in hotels and we're paying for them, and they're giving them Visa cards, that's coming from the money that, we're paying in taxes, I think that's when people start getting a little pissed off, so it was excessive, obviously. And so
it was twofold.
Why would Arnold endorse illegal immigration when I'm sure it wasn't easy for him to get over here. So,
no,
and there's a lot of immigrants that it takes them a hard time to get over here.
It's a difficult process, but we allow 1 million people a year to migrate to America legally, 1 million a year. Okay. These 1 million people have to bring something to America that is meritorious. That's why should we let you live here? What are you going to do for us? You just want to get a job? It's you got to contribute. Like Arnold is saying, you got to give, you accept the opportunity, you got to give back. Instead, we get rioters, protesters, we get morons from another country who are rioting in our streets, burning the American flag and waving the flag of the country that they don't want to go back
They don't
to.
want to live in.
Right. They don't want to live in.
Stupidest thing of
What
all
the
time.
fuck? These people should be rounded up. Fuck deporting them. You should be exterminated. You're not even human.
Yeah. Why would you come here and wave your country's flag?
Right.
If you stay in your country then if you wanted to.
Yeah, if your country's so great, stay there. Stay there. We don't need you. We don't need you at all. They come. Did you hear what Gavin Newsom is giving these illegals in California?
No, what's he doing now?
Unfucking believable. Healthcare, education, childcare, welfare, housing allowance. I mean, like what an invitation! What a attraction!
I'm sure voting rights too, John. Right?
If you live in bumfucked Egypt and you're tired of eating camel jerky, and you hear that, well, all I got to do is make it to America. I'm going to live at the Clinton Hotel. I'm going to get a food card, a gas card, a telephone. I can go to the emergency room when I have a cold. I'm going to get all this stuff. Why do I have to eat fucking camel jerky and die of the sun anymore? I'm going over to America. Why? You can't get in the front door? I just go through the back door with the Mexicans.
Yeah.
So, and the thing, and I'm not even right about that. The majority of the people coming through Mexico are not Mexican.
They're not Mexican. No.
A ton of them are coming from China.
Africa.
The number of Chinese nationals was astounding.
Africa too.
Africa, China, all over the world, and we do not know who they are. They have no paperwork. They have no history. They have no nothing. And we're talking, 14, 15,000 a month were coming in under Biden. That's a lot of people, man. 15, 20 million extra people. That's like a whole state.
Look,
and we don't know who they are. We have no idea who they are.
A lot of people didn't like when Arnold did the whole thing during COVID about screw your freedoms.
Right.
I always thought he was that.
He just redeemed himself.
I thought he was taken out of context. He was trying to just say, listen, this is the rules right now. Just follow. But whatever. If people want to think that he really meant screw your freedoms, I don't believe he really meant that. I think it was taken out of context. I think he was. Let's say he said it inappropriately. Okay, let's go with the worst case scenario, which I don't believe, and I've never believed it. I've gone on the record and said I didn't believe Arnold meant anything maliciously. But let's assume he did. Let's say he fucked up. Everyone fucks up. Okay. Everyone has screwed up at one point in their life. This statement that he made on The View is so powerful because this is such a dividing theme of what's going on. Because look, we knew Trump was going to get these people out of this country. Okay. He said it. That's what he got elected on. Shutting the border and getting rid of these illegal people that don't belong here. They're troublemakers.
And that are killing and raping our women.
Right. So I'm so happy that Arnold went on the record and said, listen, I'm an immigrant. You want to use me to try to sell your agenda? Ain't going to happen. I did it legally. These people are not contributing positively. They didn't come here legally. I'm not supporting that. And I think that's going to go a long way towards people really rallying behind Arnold again. I think that and you know what? Arnold's at a point in his life. We've said this before, John, on the show. He doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks about him anymore.
He can say anything.
I read a report that he's worth over $1 billion now.
Probably.
With all his real estate investments and everything.
At the time he divorced Maria, he was worth $700 million.
Right. And they had
I don't know how much Maria got, but I know
she got half.
But I know his money was very well invested. He was a very astute businessman, good investments. So I'm sure that number is
I saw I think he's won 1.4 billion or something like that. But
yeah, wow.
You said it yourself that Arnold can put the prize money of the Arnold Classic up to $1 million tomorrow, and it wouldn't phase his bank account one bit.
No,
well, he's up to 750,000. He's I think he's playing games with the Olympia guys. In other words, he wants to keep. Yeah, it's like when Usain Bolt was beating the world record in the 100 meters. I read an article about the fact that they tell these guys don't break it by too much.
Yeah, he pulled up.
Just break it a little bit so you can break it again.
You can break it again.
Yeah. So I think Arnold knows he's going to get to $1 million first, and he's going to, and he's taunting and teasing the Olympia guys. All right, first he went to 500, then Jake had to go to 600. Now he's at 750. Jake's going to have to go to 800. Then next year he'll go to 850, 900, and then Jake will have to go to 950. And then Arnold will say, you know what? I'm going to be the first guy to give $1 million away.
He should do that tomorrow. He should just rip the Band-Aid off and do it tomorrow.
That's what I think. But, I think he's having fun doing it.
It's going to take 5 years to get to $1 million. I mean,
he doesn't care. John, he is at a point in his life. He's done everything.
Yeah, but with inflation, $1 million in 5 years is going to be worth $750 today. So he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's a lateral move. But look, the bodybuilding deserves it. And if anybody, even above Joe and Ben Weider, it would be Arnold that we want to give back. You want to talk about giving back?
Right.
Raise the prize money.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I have to say this about The View, though. It was real. The second most telling thing, other than the sycophantic silence as soon as he started, talking the real numbers, was how Sonny Hostin was trying to grab him.
Yes,
it's like the hook. It's like the hook. They're going to drag you off stage.
Like Arnold was going to be influenced by anything.
Right, yeah, like, you didn't even
Arnold
feel
didn't even move.
Didn't flinch.
He felt her arm grab him, and he's probably like, I'm surprised he didn't turn around and say, "Take your hands off me."
I know. I'm surprised he didn't say, I know this is hard to listen to, but it's the truth.
Or I'm surprised he didn't say, if I put my hand on you, they probably arrest me for he's being sexually harassed by someone.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah. Now, there was another thing I wanted to bring up. I think we still have some. Yeah, we have time. Did you see? I don't know what's going on with Lee Haney. Have you seen what Lee Haney did?
No.
Lee Haney launched his own organization. For what? For bodybuilding. His Lee Haney games are no longer NPC. I don't know if he lost his mind. He actually reached out to me. I didn't even know what he was talking about. He wanted to go in and promote his Lee Haney games, but it's sanctioned by his own organization now, it says.
There is this brewing faction of bodybuilding fans that are so stuck on the way things used to be and are so offended by the way things are now. Even the fact that you guys have fucking board short division, classic physique. You have all of the possibilities that you could possibly want to have.
Right.
Leave the open guys alone. Let them be freaks. Why do you guys have to constantly, it's all steroids. That doesn't look aesthetic. That doesn't look good.
The bikini girls take Trenbolone, John. I mean, come on.
I know, and I'm going to start a new federation for the people who want to not take drugs and be committed to the way things used to be. We have that. It's called classic physique. We have it. What the fuck? What do you want? They literally want to drive the open class out because it offends their perception of bodybuilding so much.
Yeah, but you're right. They created classic for guys who want to be Bob Paris.
Right.
And first of all, Lee Haney was not classic physique. All right. No. Lee Haney was a mass monster when he was competing.
Freak. Yeah.
When he was competing, he was way bigger than everyone else on stage.
He was over 250.
So if anything, you would think he would be the guy to embrace the bigger bodybuilder, right? He always said a good big man always beats a good little man, right? That was his.
Yep.
And I love Lee Haney. I don't know. Maybe there's like you said, there's Valentino's a perfect example. Like he can't get out of that era that he competed in.
Right.
He doesn't even know who the guys are today, but all he knows is that they're not as good as the era he was competing in. But I think it's terrible because it's a very, very bad insult to the guys competing today who are working so hard and who are putting in the same effort that the guys did years ago. And the truth of the matter is the guys are bigger today. They're hard. Okay. There are some guys that are not getting in the kind of condition that we saw in the 90s, possibly. And I would like to see that change. But I think the bodies are bigger, more massive,
more defined, more detailed.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys would have beat a lot of the guys in the 90s. Now, granted, there were some freaks. Ronnie Coleman will never be beaten. I mean, he's the greatest of all time.
Yep.
Dorian was a freak that people don't realize and don't give enough credit for.
Plus, I think in any sport, and I've seen this happen in motorcycle racing a lot. You get a wave of incredible talent that blows through. Rarely, but it happens.
Yeah.
And we had that in the 90s. We had Chris Cormier and Kev Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone and Lee Priest and Paul Dillette, Nasser, Marcus Rule. We had all these amazing, giant, great guys, and we had them all at once. We had them all in a pack.
Yep.
Now, I don't think you can say that all of them worked harder than everyone today.
No.
I don't think you can say that all of them used less or more drugs than the guy. I just think we ran into that bunch of guys that just happened to be following. They were in other sports too, and they moved over to bodybuilding.
And it'll happen again now, John, with almost $1 million up for grabs at these shows. You know,
I think it will. But I think the idea that there's this group of fans, supporters, whatever you want to call them, that is incensed with the way things are today in the open level, that the guys are monstrous, and it breaks the aesthetic mold of what they believe bodybuilding should be. And like I keep saying, we have that. It's over here. It's men's physique. If that's what you want, Chris Bumstead, we got him. Go look at him. But we want to see the guys like us who like freaks. That's what we want to see. We want to see put the envelope pushed.
I want to see both. I want to see both. Yeah,
sure, and we do, and we're lucky. We get to see both, and we get to marvel at both. But the idea that one should exist,
the open draws way more people than classic does.
Always.
It's nice to have the classic there, but if people had to choose, they would go with the open guys.
But I don't know why they want to take that away. Who are they saving?
I don't know.
I mean, these guys, everybody's they're dropping like flies. No, they're not.
But why would Lee Haney, and like maybe I'll ask him in person, but why would Lee Haney want to start his own organization?
I just told you why. Because I believe
he's got the same divisions.
But he's probably of the idea that the current flock of top pros is gone too far. And
forget the open men. Forget the open men, okay? He's not even doing open men. He's got like team bodybuilding, classic bodybuilding, men's physique, women's figure, bikini, wellness, and art physique, which is an exhibition only. So he doesn't even have open, okay?
So why then would he want to buck the NPC then and not do it?
I don't know. To me, this smells of like a feud almost. Like he's like mad. Like maybe something happened, and I don't know what could possibly happen because I know Jim Mannion really likes Lee Haney
a lot.
For Lee to go out on a because I've only seen Jim Mannion praise Lee Haney over the years that I've known him, and for Lee to do this, it's almost like spitting in Jim Mannion's face. It's very disrespectful, I think.
Well, unless he did it, like Paul Dillette did it. Paul Dillette went to Jimmy first, and he said, "Look,
he didn't know. He did not do that. He did not. I can guarantee that.
He told me he did it.
No. I can guarantee you that what's his name didn't do that. That Lee Haney didn't do that.
No, Lee Haney. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying because I think Paul asked permission, and he said, "Look, I don't want to step on your feet. I'm going to do something totally different. I'm going to do it in Canada." And they go, "Go ahead, do what you want." And I think. I don't know if Haney has had a conversation with Mannion or not. Have they discussed this? Or...
I don't. From what I know, I don't think so.
But the idea that it's non-NPC IFBB, I think that's very telling.
Jim gave Lee and his son. They run that show, the Lee Haney Games. I mean, he gave them that sanction. So I mean, he gave Lee the ability to promote bodybuilding and to make money and stuff like that. I mean, Lee was an 8-time Mr. Olympia. There was a lot of history between these two guys. And I don't know, it just seems a little disrespectful. I don't know, what Lee thinks he's going to. There's not going to be any traction on this thing. No one's leaving the IFBB NPC. I mean, that's right. It's like the Olympics. Who's leaving the Olympic Games? To go someplace else. Who are you going to beat? You want to be the best in the world. You got to compete in the IFBB and the NPC. It's just a weird move, and to me, it's like it smells bad. I get a
something's wrong. I agree. Something's wrong.
And look, Jim has been nothing. Like I said, if Jim and him were bumping heads their whole career, different story. I've never seen Mannion like give more praise to a guy than Lee Haney, and always say great things about him. So to me, I feel this is a little disrespect. It's not a little.
And to Lee's credit, he deserved every bit of that praise. He's one of the most impeccable human beings that ever won a title.
Absolutely. So I don't know what happened.
Talk about giving back to his community. I meing, he's practically the honorary mayor of Atlanta.
Look at it this way, John. Who bumps heads more? I mean, Arnold is bumping up against the Olympia guys, and I'm sure he's bumped with heads with Mannion a little bit too over the years, because Arnold is such a strong personality and type A, and so is Jim, and I'm sure Weider was the same way, but Arnold had that loyalty to Weider, but now that he's not around, he bumps heads, but yet Arnold's still with the IFBB NPC. They're still doing the amateur and the pro show. So if Arnold's not leaving, what's Haney think he's going to do here? If anyone's going to leave, it would be Arnold. And Arnold obviously realizes that if he wants to have the best competitors, he's got to participate in the IFBB NPC.
So now is all of this what Lee is doing amateur?
Yeah, for now, right now, yeah.
So there's no prize money involved.
No, but yeah, no, not at all. So I mean, it's like just offering like a I don't know, like a alternative league. It just seems weird.
Now here's the question: is the winner of Lee Haney's whatever division, is he going to be allowed to compete in the NPC next year if he wants to?
Well, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't think Jim would not allow people to cross over.
They used to not. They used to not.
Well, no, if there was a pro, it's different if there's a pro division. The amateur division, they don't give a shit who competes where. But in the pros, obviously, if you're a pro in the IFBB, you're not going to go compete in another organization, because it's like being in the major leagues. You can't go from Major League Baseball and then compete in some little crap league in Timbuktu, right?
Right.
You have a contract with the league. So I just don't know where can't figure out what he's up to, and maybe I'll text Lee and ask him.
Yeah, let's get him on the show and ask him.
It caught me by surprise. Someone sent it to me, and I'm like, "What the hell?" I just talked to Lee the other day. I was going to get him on the TV show to ask what's going on with the whole, his criticism. Remember, because he originally said that bodybuilding isn't growing and it's stagnating, and I don't know how he could even say that when there's 19 divisions now, when there was only one division, when he was competing. So it just doesn't make sense. If anything, I think they're expanding too much. There's too many divisions, but that remains to be seen. So it's a lot of stuff going on. So Arnold, kudos to you.
Yes, Arnold.
On putting those women at the View in their place and not feeling any pressure to have to say a certain thing. I think that he's going to get a lot of his fan base back that maybe abandoned him. I never left him. I never really took what Arnold said personally, because I didn't think that he was really. I think he was taken, like I said, out of context. But regardless, people make mistakes. What he probably should have done is he should have said, "You know what, that's not what I meant." And you know what, if I offended people, I'm sorry, because I believe that Arnold believes in freedom.
What I thought it was a good example of how well the government scared everything.
Well, and I think he felt pressured by the establishment to promote the establishment's agenda. I
think they were. The Rock did the same thing.
Yeah,
I think they were genuinely frightened that this was a real thing, and that this was going to wipe everybody out, and you better wash your hands. And
they bought the Kool-Aid. They drank
the Kool-Aid. Yeah, I mean, you can't. I don't think you can blame them for that. I mean, that's human. Some people drink the Kool-Aid and they get drunk.
Do you think that a lot of these celebrities got paid?
I believe. I wouldn't
know
surprise
that,
me.
That Travis Kelce got paid $20 million to do a commercial for that.
The jab.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
And you know what? How do you turn down $20 million? I mean, I don't even know if the guy even got it himself, but it's hard to say. Money talks. I mean, you want to tell people the right thing to do, but when you're offered ridiculous amounts of money, it's really hard to turn that down. I mean, that's your legacy, that's your future. Here you $20 million. I mean, you can retire. You're done. So I can understand why some of these guys do sell out. Not that I'm saying it's right or wrong. It's probably not right, but people do it all the time.
The forced jab did cause a little cottage industry to spring up, because I know a couple instances where the person administering the shot in a private little setting would say, the shot's free for $100. I'll squirt it in the garbage.
Exactly. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you wonder how some of these celebrities can actually promote some of these agendas. But then you say the guy got paid $20 million. You know, I mean, I know everyone wants to be holier than thou, but you know what? Wave up $20 million in front of people's faces and see how many people don't take that $20 million.
How about the celebrities that got paid to endorse Kamala Harris?
Right.
She burned through $2 billion in 3 months. I mean,
they were paying everyone off.
How about and the way they faked out the audience, like she's having a rally, Beyonce is going to be there.
I know. Yeah.
So everybody thinks Beyonce is going to play,
sing,
right?
Yeah.
Beyonce gets there and she gives this fucked up speech that I don't know, like a 2-year-old wrote, and then that was it. Then the audience is booing and they're leaving, and
yeah. At least give us a song for the $10 million.
She got paid for that. She got a couple $1 million for that.
Well, Oprah got paid too $1 million to have,
but that she still denies.
No, she's like, it was for my production company.
Right.
As if she's getting no benefit from that.
And the production company paid her.
Yeah.
There were 2 payments. One was $1 million, and another one was $1 million. And the $1 million went through the production company, I believe.
But you know what, John? I would rather have these celebrities come out and say, you know what? They fucking paid me. That's why I did it. You know, I got paid. Tell the truth. Tell the truth after the fact. Obviously, you can't do it when you're going through it, but tell the truth. Say, I got paid. It was a paid gig. What do you want me to tell you?
I think they should say it ahead of time. Look, I'm being paid to say this.
Well, I'm sure that's not part of the contract because they want.
Well, but I know. But if it's like, what was his name?
If Arnold came on Instagram and said, "Listen, I got to tell you guys something. I know you guys think I'm an asshole for saying screw your freedom. But you know what? They paid me $10 million to go on there and get people to wear masks because." You know, it was, I believed truly in my heart that it was dangerous, and they scared me too. And you know what? I sold out. You know what? It was a bad decision. I'm never going to do it again. I'm 75 years old, whatever he is. He's 80 years old. I'm not, at this point in my life, I'm only doing things that I believe in. And that's why I went on The View and said the things I did. And yeah, you know what? It was a bad move on my part. But you know what? I got greedy and I took the money and I thought I was doing the right thing, but in hindsight, it wasn't the right. If he did that, people would be like, "This guy's a god." He would ingratiate himself to everyone.
If he included that very critical phase that you included, which was the look, I was caught up in this like you. I was scared. Yeah. You know, they offered me a bunch of money to try to get you guys to get a shot. I thought it was the best thing to do, and that's what I did. And I
don't think he told people to get the shot. I think he told people to just wear the mask. That's what he was.
Wash your hands, wear the mask. You know,
yeah, I mean, that's a big difference between getting a shot and then wearing a mask. A mask is not going to do anything. I wore the mask when I had to go out if it was required. I wasn't compromising my health wearing the mask, so I wore it. If they said, "Hey, you got to get this thing or you're going to lose your job," I would have said, "All right, fire me." That's all.
A friend of mine, almost 20 years in with Continental Airlines, he lost his job.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I wouldn't.
Then he sued him and got a shit ton of money.
But, he did. Good for him. Yeah. So, but yeah, look, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, Arnold is I really believe Arnold does love this country. I believe that Arnold does want to see the best for people. I don't think he's a phony at all. I think he's done maybe some phony stuff because after all, he's an actor and he's in Hollywood and he gets hired to do gigs, you know. And so I think whenever he winds up selling out for money purposes, it backfires on him. When he's authentic, people love him. And that's the history of Arnold, isn't it?
Plus going into a setting like The View, I mean, that's like wheeling a howitzer into a rubber band and paperclip.
That was a very hostile environment for him to go.
But plus, I mean, the cumulative IQ of The View was like 7, you know, and
he handled himself great on the ice
because he outsmarts them just breathing, you know. I mean, it's like it was such an unfair, you know, thing to do, put him in there because he knew he was going to control the whole narrative. They didn't have a chance.
They thought he was going to go along with their BS. But you know what? If you really want to see who Arnold really is, watch the Netflix documentary on Arnold they had. It's the best. That's Arnold at his most bare bone honest about who he is, what he did. Matter of fact, I haven't read the book, but supposedly the book Total Recall that he wrote is, Patrick Bet-David said it's unbelievable. He said it's one of the best biographies he's ever read. He said Arnold's completely transparent in there. He talks about the housekeeper getting her pregnant, how it ruined his marriage. He's completely open about everything in there. He said he couldn't put the thing down. Now I want to read it just for that reason.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Like I said, I think at the end of the day, Arnold is authentic. I think he's made some bad decisions along the way, like we all do. I've made bad decisions. You've made bad decisions. Of
course, absolutely.
And you know what? If he didn't make bad decisions, I would be suspicious of him because you know what? It would mean he's not human. It would mean he's a robot. So, so kudos to Arnold.
Yep.
That's going to take us to the end of this episode of the Palumbo Podcast. John and I will be in Alabama all weekend long with the entire Whack Pack filming Jumbo Palumbo Part 2. Plus, we'll be at the Body B1 Classic, and we'll be doing our seminar on Friday night, which I believe is either going to be live streamed, or if it's not live streamed, we will put it up immediately after the seminar is over. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.